Thank you all for joining us today for our Encore presentation of Goodbye Textbooks, Hello Digital Resources. We did this webinar in February and had a huge response to it. Had a lot of people sign up for it, and we were afraid that we were going to max out our system, so we scheduled another session. So we are excited to have our presenters back again with us today, and we will get started with them in just a few minutes, but I want to first do a little bit of housekeeping. It looks like quite a few people have introduced themselves in the chat box. Thank you very much. It's great to get people connected and to see who's on the call. If you've not yet opened up the chat box, just mouse over the green bar at the top of the screen and click on the chat button there. You will have to do that a couple of times today. We'll change presenters twice, I believe. So each time we do that, you will have to open that chat box again because it will not open by itself. So you'll just need to remember to do that. And please share questions and comments as we go. The presenters will, they might be watching the chat box. They might wait until after the presentation is over, but I will keep track of questions and anything that doesn't get answered during their presentation. We should have some Q&A time left at the end. Make sure when you're entering comments in the chat box, make sure you pick to send to everyone from that little drop down. It probably says my name, Mary Carnahan, and I would love to see your comments, but I want the rest of the group to see them also. So please select everyone. And I don't know if I introduced myself. In case I didn't, my name is Mary Carnahan, and I am an e-learning resource specialist with the Department of Education, Office of e-Learning. So let's move on and see what's next. This is our homepage, doe.in.gov/elearning is how you find us, or just search for e-learning. The big thing that I wanted to point out on our homepage is the Summer of e-Learning. We have 19 conferences spread all throughout the state. There should be a conference close to everyone in the state. Registrations are opening for those conferences, so please, if you're looking for some professional development over the summer that is close to home and either pretty cheap or really cheap and free, check out the offerings that are available this summer. It's going to be a pretty exciting time, and you will see those of us from the Office of e-Learning around at those sessions this summer. A couple of things that we have upcoming this week. Every Thursday, actually, we have eLearn Twitter chats on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. This week, our moderator, Kim Hendrick, will be talking about going digital. What lessons have we learned? That goes pretty well with our topic today for our webinar. So I'm excited to see what what questions she has and what people are sharing in that Twitter chat this week. The webinar, we have a webinar. I'm going to mute people as needed. Pause. We have a webinar a week from tomorrow, Weather Woes, Reflections on Learning Virtually. We have, as you all know, we missed a lot of school this year, and schools were really trying to find great ways to make up days with their kids, and we have 3 school corporations, Mechanicaw, Zionsville, and Yorktown, who will be sharing with us how they are using virtual learning to make up some of their snow days. Also, we just finished a book club a few weeks ago, and we are going to be getting geared up pretty soon for our summer e-learning book club. Watch for details on that coming soon. If you have a book that you've read that you think would be a great read for us, please feel free to share it. You can put that in the little chat box, or I'll share my email address. Also, if you have webinar topics that you'd like to see us cover, I would like to know about those too. Always looking for new topics to cover. And now on to the main event. We are really grateful to have this wonderful group sharing with us today. This group has been working through a grant for several months now on creating high-quality bundles in My Big Campus. So they're going to be talking about what they have already created and then how other people are going to be able to join in that. So I am going to introduce Molly Yole, who will be getting us started, and then she'll introduce the rest of the group. So Molly, are you there? And also I'm going to change presenters. Dana, I'm going to make you the presenter here. And as I said, when we change presenters, you'll need to open your chat box again. Also, I think I forgot to mention, please don't unmute yourself unless you are a presenter. We have, lots of background noise happens. Some people are still in school with announcements coming over the PA, or people are coming into classrooms. So please just keep yourself muted, and as I see people that end up unmuted, I will mute you. So Molly, I'm going to turn it over to you, and Dana, I'm going to make you the presenter. So take it away.
All right, thank you, Mary. Well, welcome everyone. As Mary said, we are really glad that you are joining us at 4 o'clock. I'm sure it's been a long day. Some people I know are coming off a spring break, so it might have been an extra rough Monday. But we are glad you're here. This is our second time to present this webinar because we did have such a good turnout the first time, and we know everyone is kind of in this situation where they are, training their teachers and encouraging and supporting their teachers, or maybe you are a teacher and you're doing it yourself, creating digital content. And so I think there's a lot of unknowns out there still, and a lot of questions on how people are going about creating digital content, where they're housing it, and all the logistics behind that. So hopefully we can share some of that information with you today and give you some clarity or some new ideas that you can take and use. So I am Molly Yole once again. I'm from Danville. I actually teach one period of English here at the high school, and then I work with Mary and the Office of eLearning team for the remainder of my day, and I have been supporting the IMAC grant, so I'm pleased to be doing that. Also from the IMAC grant, we have Dana Lyle from MSC of Wayne Township, Shane Brashear, also from Wayne Township. He's a teacher that's going to share with you in a little bit. Rachel Porter from Southwest Park Community Schools, and then one of her teachers, Rachel Loomis, who presented with us last time from Southwest Park, and she's also going to share some of her digital content with you. So we have some experts in the house to help out. Dana, you can move to the next slide. So you might be wondering what the IMAC grant is. The IMAC grant was given out in 2013, and it was awarded to 16 different districts across the state of Indiana. There were, from those 16 districts, 4 different consortiums that were created around various topics. We have one consortium that focuses on customized learning. We have one consortium that focuses on student-produced digital content. We have another one that focuses on flexible scheduling, so having these virtual e-learning days throughout the school year. And then we have our largest consortium, which is made up of 6 different districts across the state, and they're focused on creating digital content. We have Southwest Park, Wayne Township, Scott County, Bluffton, Harrison, East Allen, and New Palestine. The majority of our schools, well, 4 of the 6, are creating digital content inside of My Big Campus, and they are creating bundles, and that's where they're housing it. We have one district that is creating digital content inside of iBooks that will be available for everyone to use, and then we have one district that is actually creating iTunes U courses with the digital content there. So hopefully we have appealed to everyone and housed content in various places. Today our focus is going to be on the My Big Campus districts and kind of what they're doing inside of the bundles there. All of the content creators for this grant are practicing teachers, and thankfully we have a whole host of digital content varying by content area and then level, grade level, so K to 12. We definitely have some holes in areas, but we're really trying to clean up those holes. So by the end of the grant period, we have a variety of digital content for anyone to go and look at and to use as their own, or to edit and make their own. So The neat thing about this grant is that there are 6 districts that are working together to create this content, and at the end, hopefully this summer, we will have what we are calling like a roadmap to share out with not only the state but across the country on how these districts went about creating the digital content and all the logistics of it, like I mentioned before. So that will come to you in a form probably of like a website or so where you can find all sorts of resources and how-tos from these various districts based on their experience. And then, of course, the digital content that everyone has created that you will have access to. So we're so excited to offer this. I think Dana is going to go ahead and dig in, and she's going to talk about digital content creation inside of My Big Campus and what we're doing with what we call a high-quality bundle.
So we're really excited that everyone's chosen to join us today. When we first started this work, one of the things we talked about is that we needed some consistency to be able to identify the work as high quality. So we started with creating a checklist and brought that to the whole group and edited it and made sure that everyone was in agreement with the criteria. So let me open that. So here is the checklist that we created, and you can see it's just exactly what it is. It's not a rubric. We're not evaluating whether something meets the criteria at a certain level. We're just evaluating whether the criteria is present. There are 2 parts of the checklist. The first part is lesson design. So you can see there that all the components of a quality lesson design are listed. Does it have an objective? Is there a summary for the lesson? Are there standards that are listed, and are they applicable? Is there an anticipatory set or connection to prior knowledge? We asked our writers to teach and engage within the bundle, as well as forms of assessment. That's the first part of the bundle, and that all comes from the work of Madeline Hunter, who has been around for, actually she's been gone for a while, but her work has been around for a long time on lesson design. Then we talked about the second part, which starts with organization. Digital content, writing lessons, creating bundles for digital content looks a lot different than a traditional lesson plan. So we needed to make sure that we helped people understand what was important to make in their bundle to make it easy to use, whether students are using it independently or whether it's being used in a group setting or a class setting. So we wanted to make sure that organization was key in there. Does it follow a reasonable order? Are the fonts and the headings, are they easy to read? Is it organized in a way that makes sense for the user? We also wanted to make sure that the course content was applicable, that it was varied. We don't want a bundle that's just full of a bunch of links to other worksheets. We don't want a bundle that's full of just words that students need to read. Are there videos embedded? Are there images embedded? Are there activities and schoolwork embedded? We also wanted to make sure that under the course content that all the links and files are working. We don't want to put anything out there that has a dead link in it. We also wanted to make sure that and as far as course content, we know lots of districts pay subscriptions to different services, and we allowed our teachers and encouraged our teachers to put that information in their bundle because first and foremost we want them to be able to use the work. However, you'll see in the bundle as you go through them that if there is paid content in there, we've asked our writers to make a note of that. So as you're browsing, you can know right away there may be parts of this that I can't use without a subscription. We also wanted to make sure that we hit on information literacy in these bundles. Information literacy is really important. Our kids need to understand how to work in this new digital environment, and part of that is being literate with information. So there are bullets to help with that, as well as a link to a digital citizenship bundle to help our kids understand how to be good users of digital resources. And then the last, I think it's the last link is student interaction. So we want students to interact with each other as well as the teacher in this bundle. Again, we don't want them just sitting in front of a screen, running through some activities or reading some things and never having any interaction. Our students and children need to be able to do that to be successful in college and career. So is there student-student interaction? Is there student-to-teacher interaction? Or is there student interacting with the content? So all of our teachers that are writing bundles use this checklist to make sure everything is incorporated in the bundle. If something is not in the bundle, then the bundle is not deemed high quality. We vet them at each level in our districts. Everybody has a person that vets them, and we make sure that the criteria is met. I do have to say that this is the basic checklist. Now, some districts have gone in and added things to the checklist. So, for instance, we've got a district that has a PBL focus. So they've added to the checklist to make their PBL components an important part of this. So know that when you see a certified bundle, you're going to see at least this checklist, but there may be more things added to it. Let's see. We get back. And Rachel, I think it's your turn to talk about a template.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, each of the districts kind of took a little bit of a different approach in terms of who would be working on creating this content in their district, and we're going to address that more a little bit later on. But at Southwest Park, we really wanted to involve all of our teachers, grades K through 12, in all subject areas, in creating this digital content. So that brought along with it kind of its own set of challenges, trying to make sure all of our teachers really understood the high quality component and were able to make that into a bundle. Of course, they had to learn how to create a bundle, and there was a learning curve for a lot of our teachers in that. So what I did to help that process along was I took the high quality checklist that Dana just showed you, and I created it into a MyBigCampus bundle template. So we're going to take a look at that now. This template is available in the MyBigCampus library. It is published, so you would be able to search for and find this template yourself and branch it and follow the instructions that are within it if you wanted to create a high quality template that follows all the criteria that we have set forth here. So there's a lot of words and a lot of videos and such in this template, but it is essentially the same content as that checklist. It's just placed into a template along with some video tutorials to show you how to actually go about doing those things in a MyBigCampus bundle. So as you scroll through here, you'll also see that there are headings that kind of break down the different parts of that checklist that we just took a look at to give it a nice organized flow. So teachers can go in here, they can branch this template, then they can follow these instructions to kind of describe what belongs in each section of this lesson. And then they just delete the template instructions and keep the header graphics. So in the end, they have this complete bundle that is meeting all of that criteria. It kind of just guides them along the way in terms of how to add the standards in and cover art and publishing it. The components that are specific to MyBigCampus, just kind of helping teachers know how to go about doing each of those things. So this is the starting point for most of our teachers. Not all the districts have used this exact template. Some of them have created their own little version of it, like Dana was saying, maybe with a PBL component as well. But it was just giving a foundational starting point to help make sure all that criteria is met. A lot of our teachers have used this template initially for their very first bundle, and we've walked through it step by step together. And then once that bundle was approved, they would branch their own bundle for their next one, so they use their own as their next template, just so they don't have to go through and delete all of that that text again. It just kind of saves them some time. But this is a good starting point and a place that you could start in creating your own high quality bundle. Okay. So do you want me to talk about our approach? I think is what we were going to discuss next.
Yeah, about Southwest Park, and then go ahead and let Shane share his content.
Okay.
That'd be
well,
great.
like I said, we we approached this from the aspect that we wanted to not only contribute to the state and to the work of the consortium, but we also wanted to move forward in our own digital initiatives at Southwest Park. And so that was part of our decision that we were going to involve every teacher from every grade level. We did give them the option to opt out of this if it was something that they felt like just wasn't really going to work for them, either because of their content area or their comfort level with the digital content. But we have worked through this process with all of our teachers. Some of them have received a little bit of instruction, and then they've just taken off with it, and they've been able to create a rather large number of really wonderful bundles that are now available in the library. And then we have other teachers that have had a lot to learn along the way and are just getting familiar with some of the digital tools. So some teachers maybe have only created 1 or 2 bundles, but that still has contributed to the work of the consortium and has really helped to grow them and push them forward professionally to help move them along in their own learning of the digital resources that are out there and how to put them together and how to use them effectively in their classroom. So this entire project has been not only a wonderful thing for the whole state and for people even outside of Indiana, but has been a really great step forward for the teachers of Southwest Park. So Dana, did you want to share how it's been different at Wayne Township in terms of who's been creating your bundles?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was a little confused on our order. Yes, I can, absolutely. We did it a little bit differently in Wayne Township. We're located the west side of Indianapolis, and we are a very big district. We have about 1,300 staff members, teachers in our district. So we had to go about it a little bit differently and not just open it up. Unfortunately. So what we did is we first started with our curriculum department, and we asked for recommendations of staff that they had been working with to write district curriculum that they felt like could do a good job of creating this digital content to support our district curriculum and also support this work through the state. From those recommendations, we went to our building administrators and we had conversations with them and asked who they thought would be a good fit. So between those 2 conversations, we got a nice solid list of teachers that we invited to do the curriculum writing, the bundle creation, the digital content. We started with our work in the summer last year, and then we spent first semester getting subs for our teachers, and they could come and spend a day and have support from our e-learning team to create their bundles, as well as support from their colleagues. What we've moved into second semester is they're writing on their own time and then submitting from there. We have been pretty heavily focused in our district on English language arts because we have just completed a district curriculum, and now second semester we moved into other content areas. Right now, one of my biggest focus is to get our elective teachers. That's just a portion that's not been heavily represented in the grant. So we're trying to get our art teachers and our business teachers and band teachers to think about how they could use bundles in their classroom and then have them write content. So we're really excited about the option that brings to the table because that's usually an underrepresented group of teachers when you think about digital content creation. So that's kind of how we started the process. And then, Molly, are we going right into Shane from here,
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, that's
okay,
fine. Whoever has control, if you just want to let your teacher go, and then we'll switch it back.
Perfect. I still have control. So.
Yep. Go for it.
I have with me today one of our initial bundle writers, and he's still writing for me. His name is Shane Brashear, and he teaches 7th grade English language arts at Lyndhurst 7th and 8th grade center, which is one of our 2 junior highs in the district. So I'm going to open his bundle, and I'm going to let him talk to you about the really cool stuff he's doing and has done.
Hi, and I'm not complaining or anything, but I would like to say that I was not recommended by my principal.
Yes, you were.
Oh, I don't think I was. The first thing that I do when I make these is there's the first screen it sends me to is to come up with a title. and I came up with Bippity Boppity Boo Cinderella stories from around the world. I'm not really in love with that, and I think I should probably change it and change this picture here because the Disney people are litigious, and I don't want to be sued. So don't tell anybody that this has been used. But what I was focusing on, the thing I really focus on first is the standards, because if you don't know where you're going with it, it's probably not going to make a lot of sense. So you kind of need the standard at the target. And with this one, it's a folklore unit. It's attached to folklore with folk tales and the different kinds of stories that are passed from generation to generation by word of mouth. But really, I'm focusing on theme, which is kind of a biggie for language arts. And the idea with this one is that this Cinderella story, I forget the exact number, but it's somewhere in here. Something like 1,500 different versions of the Cinderella story from all over the place. And of course, the one we know is the French version because Disney made a cartoon version of it. But anyway, I'll show you what I've done here. I have an introduction, and this is a group thing where they can do it right in my big campus in discussions, or they can do it just by talking and coming up with the answers. But I have them kind of looking at the story that they do know, most of them know, because of the Disney version of Cinderella. And here's just as a refresher, I tried to find one that was as short as possible. I found this animated version. It's very, very cheap animation on YouTube, just to kind of refresh their memory about the key details of the story. And they're coming up with what are the conflicts and what's the setting and who are the main characters and what happens at the climax of the story. Of course, it's a fairy tale, so it's probably going to be a happy ending for our princess. And just to kind of refresh their memories about the particulars of the story. And then they're getting into a reminder about folklore. Now, when I have done folklore in the past, we do mythology and we do fables and legends, which involves tall tales and urban legends, and folk tales, which has the fairy tales in it. So I've already gone kind of over this stuff. This is more review type stuff. And then getting into fairy tales specifically, like Cinderella. And I know that number is going to be in here somewhere, 1,500. Oh, where is it, Dana? Do you see it? I don't see it either. But trust me, there are like 1,500 of these versions of these stories all over the place from around the world. Here's a picture of a grumpy fairy godmother. Not all Cinderella stories have fairy godmothers, by the way. So back to Cinderella. Here's Charles Perrault. Don't know how to pronounce that because I don't speak French, but he's the guy who first wrote down the French version of the Cinderella story. And they can review those here. Here it is, 15. I'm going to highlight that. 1,500 different versions of this from around the world. A lot of glass slippers, but they don't all have glass slippers either. One of my favorites is by the Grimm brothers, and you're going to have, I have a link on one of these pictures. I forget if it's on, it must be here. So you click on their picture and it'll take you to a link. Probably go to that. There it is, Aschenputtel. I don't speak German either, but that sounds nice in German, Aschenputtel. But they can read the version here, which is a little bit darker. I don't know if you've ever read the Grimm version, but it is a lot more grim. At the end of the story, the sisters are cutting off their toes and cutting off their heels to try to fit their feet into the shoes. So it's a lot different, but they'll recognize the motifs, which is one of the things I want them to get from folklore, these things that just kind of pop up in story after story. And one of those things, of course, are the themes, which helps them to, with one of our standards. In 7th and 8th grade, it's really looking at themes that a lot of these stories share instead of just trying to come up with what's the theme of this story and what's the theme of this separate story. It's kind of connecting these stories a little bit more. So here's some helpful hints. There's a helper character like a fairy godmother, and there's footwear in the stories. Most of these have footwear, and so on. So they're doing some discussion there and a little bit of writing to compare and contrast the two stories. And then it gets into the story of Ye Shen, who is the Chinese Cinderella. And it's a story that's much different. A lot of people think it's the possibly the first Cinderella story, and that it all kind of branched out from there. And just to kind of get them interested, I talk about what makes a person beautiful. So there I have Marilyn Monroe, who I never mind looking at, and then getting to corsets that women wore, even though they did some pretty bad damage to their internal organs wearing those, because the hourglass shape is associated with beauty, and then getting into some cultures, I don't know how to pronounce that, Mauritania. Women actually were force-fed to be heavier because that was a sign of wealth and prestige. And then getting into some other things, I don't know, I've never really thought long necks were all that attractive, but in some cultures that is, and there's some men wearing makeup and some the people with the lip stretching in Africa. Teeth sharpening. I should do that. I think that'd make me a more effective teacher. If I had really sharp teeth to look at me and like, I ain't messing with this guy. I think it would improve classroom discipline. Mayan culture, the sloped foreheads. So I have a lot of pictures here of just what other cultures think is beautiful, and then getting eventually into the idea of China and why a lot of people think that maybe the Cinderella story did come from China, because it has to do with feet and foot binding. I have, what do I have here? Here's a Wikipedia article linked to that on foot binding, that practice, and why it was done and when it was started and when it was eventually outlawed and that sort of thing. And then I have Ye Shen, which is the version of the Cinderella story from China, which is a lot different. There's a, oh, and this is my Google document, or yours, mine. But it's a lot different. It has like a magic fish in there that's talking to her instead of a fairy godmother and that sort of thing. And then from there, what work do I have? I got a little quiz here. What does foot binding have to do with Cinderella? Now that's just a brainstorming thing. That's more before they read, just to kind of help them come up with some of these ideas, see if they can make some predictions, which is a thing that all readers should be doing anyway. And then here I have another comparison contrast essay where they're looking at Ye Shen and Cinderella and Aschenputtel all together and writing about what motifs those stories have, what themes are similar, the good guys win in those stories, the characters who are good are rewarded and the characters who are evil aren't rewarded. And then and I hope this is flexible enough. I try when I write to make them things that teachers can do different things with. But I have, if you click on the globe here, there are tons and tons of these. This obviously isn't going to be all of them. This is of only 22 of them, it looks like. But the Native American version of the story is very interesting. And on the surface, it doesn't look like it has anything to do with Cinderella at all, but if they really think about it, they can find a lot of those motifs and see how it is related. And then at the very end, there's a discussion question, and this is the heavy metal band Cinderella from the 80s, in case you're too young. And then at the bottom, I have some references where I got a lot of the pictures, because if we're going to teach good digital citizenship, we better credit our sources.
Great. Thanks, Shane. I saw some things pop up, so be sure if you have any questions just to go ahead and add them in the chat. The reason I wanted to highlight Shane's bundle is because it does have all of those aspects we asked for. He's got his anticipatory set. Let me give everybody whiplash here and go up to the top. So he's got his anticipatory set right here to get kids engaged and to activate that prior knowledge, but then he also has all kinds of resources. He has video links, he has areas where kids can go and read things. So he's really just incorporated everything that really makes digital content valuable and good. And with it, he's added, as you couldn't tell, his sense of humor, which is what helps keep the kids engaged. Because even if he's not standing in the room in front of you or sitting in the room like he is with me, you can get that through the bundle, and that's what we know. If you got the kids engaged, then you're all there. So this is just one of Shane's. He has several that are high quality, and they're all language arts for junior high, and they all really have these same kind of aspects in them. So
some of them are depressing, depending on my mood.
Yes,
I am moody.
Some of them are depressing, but they're good. They're all good. So I think, Rachel, it is your turn.
It's time for both Rachels. So this is Rachel Porter, and I just want to introduce, while I'm bringing up my screen here, one of our wonderful teachers at Southwest Park. Rachel Loomis is going to talk to you a little bit. Let me get my application up for you. Apparently I can't talk and do that at the same time. Okay. Rachel Loomis is going to share a little bit with you about her transition process over the last few years as she's making some transitions from print to digital and building her first bundle and the overwhelming task that was in the beginning, but she has become quite the pro at it and has produced several really wonderful bundles that she is using with her students and becoming more and more ingrained into her classroom. So I'm going to bring up her multiplying multi-digit number bundle, and Rachel, I'm going to let you take over and kind of talk about your transitions.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, well, first I want to apologize. I'm not as funny as Shane, so I hope I don't bore you all, but we'll give it a shot. So my name is Rachel Loomis, and this is my 7th year teaching 5th grade. This is my 6th year teaching math, and prior to this year, my core math instruction was through the textbook series Saxon Math, and with our corporation shift to digital curriculum this year, I am a pilot teacher for math digital curriculum. So we have put the textbooks on the shelf, and now they have become a resource, and primarily some students use them, a few of them, but we just use them when we need them, and they pretty much stay on the shelf most of the time. So the digital resources that I have been using this year, I feel have really met my students' individual needs and abilities much better than the textbook. And I'll talk a little bit more about them, those resources, when we go through my bundle. So with Rachel's help, I created my first bundle in the fall, and it was a little stressful, but we got through it, and I just took her template, kind of like she was saying earlier, and tailored it to fit my needs for my math class. And after making a few, it really got easier and easier, and now it's pretty simple. So, and it's kind of fun to find the sources to put in there. So I kind of like to think of these bundles as a live collection of my lesson plans that I can edit and update easily anytime, and that I can make available for my students through my big campus. So it's also really nice for the younger students, I know, teachers that use bundles, for them to navigate to the websites easier than typing in the site. That can get very stressful and take up a lot of time, and with these bundles, they can just click on it and they're right there. I also make sure, I think Dana mentioned, I do have some paid sources in my bundles, but I also try to make sure I add some free resources as well that are available for everyone to use. So we'll take a look here at this bundle. This is multiplying multi-digit numbers, and all of my bundles start out with the introduction. I try to find a video or a game, a song, something that will spark their interest to introduce the concept. This is a YouTube video. I also use Brain Pop videos a lot. If you're familiar with them, the kids really like to watch those videos. They're fun. So this is the introduction, and then moving on to the instruction part, this is where I step in and kind of have the direct instruction where I introduce the topic myself and then teach and model the concept for the students. And I may use projector, whiteboard, manipulative, whatever tools I'll need to teach the concept to the students. Then when we move into the activity section, this is part of the lesson where the students will start practicing the concept, either independently with me or in a small group. And again, they may use whiteboard, hands-on materials, manipulatives, whatever is needed. And this particular bundle also has a discussion board activity on my big campus where the students can interact with each other and give feedback on how this concept is used in real life. Then moving into the assessment part of the bundle, this is where math is getting very differentiated for all of my students. I would have my students work independently on this concept on IXL, which is a program that our corporation pays for. On this program, students practice and master the skills. And then on ALEX, it's another program we pay for that assesses the students at the beginning of the year, so then they don't have to work on things that they have already mastered. And ALEX has no ceiling at all. I have had students in 4th grade classes. I currently have students in 5th grade class, the 6th grade class, and I also have students that are in pre-algebra, which is really exciting for them to be able to go to those higher levels and not have to stop. ALEX and IXL and other digital resources are awesome because they give the students and the teachers immediate feedback. The textbook doesn't do that, but for instance on ALEX, if the students are to get a problem incorrect, it immediately shows them that problem, it breaks it down, and it gives them a second explanation if they need that to better understand where they made their mistake. And then the students are still using pencil and paper. They show their work on a worksheet, and they are to turn that in so I can kind of make sure, keep track of the topics they're working on and see their work, because on on iStep they have to show their work. So we definitely still use the paper and pencil in my classroom as well. The extension part of my bundles is where I would insert resources that the students can use if they need reinforcement of the skill or extra help in a different way that might benefit them. So also my bundles, all of my links open in a new window, which makes it easy to navigate back and forth to the bundle very easily. And so this is one of my bundles with some resources that I have been using. And I also want to mention that the paid programs that we use have tons of data and reports on each student to make it really easy to monitor their progress and keep track of what they're doing. So I think that's it, Rach.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Rachel. I do want to just publicly, to everybody address one of the questions that I saw come up in the chat window. If you're not familiar with IXL and with ALEX, they're both, wonderful programs like Rachel was talking about to allow students to really practice at the level that they need to practice and to get that instant feedback. These two programs, we use both of them because they operate in different ways. Our teachers are mainly using IXL as daily practice that goes with the lesson that they were just instructed on, whereas ALEX may be used a lot more independently. Students may log into ALEX. It says, begin working on your pie. So they may work on a totally different subject or topic or skill than the one that the lesson was just on when they go into their ALEX account, because they're just working independently towards completion of all the skills for the grade level. So we use the two programs together because we want something that provides that reinforcement and that practice on the skill that's and the assessment of the skill that is part of this lesson. But then we also allow the other use. So it's really more the ALEX is providing a little bit of an RTI as well as what we use along with IXL. But I just wanted to address the question. IXL does allow students to try a certain number of questions. I believe it's 20 questions before it prompts them to log in. So if you were to use this bundle or branch it, your students could still practice each of these skills. They're just not going to be tracked and monitored like our students are when they log into their actual IXL account. And then there is, of course, a limit to how much that they can do. So the IXL content that's in our bundles is something that you can take advantage of. Unfortunately, the ALEX content, you would have to have a subscription to be able to take advantage of that.
The leader has disconnected. The conference will be terminated in 2 minutes.
Mary will jump back on. Don't worry. Keep it straight.
She'll be back. She'll keep us all from getting disconnected, so that'll be good. So there is a little bit of paid content in this bundle, but really the only thing you couldn't take advantage of at all is the ALEX login right here. Everything else in this bundle is something that you could use in your own classroom as well. So nice job, Rachel. Thank you for sharing that. So what I wanted to talk next about is, how do you find this content and can start using it, because it is starting to become available to you in the My Big Campus library. So I'm going to come over here to the My Big Campus library. If you have an account, you can log in and find that icon over on the left-hand side. to start accessing this content. Now, if you don't have a MyBigCampus account, that is something you may want to talk to your school about. It is freely available for teachers in the state of Indiana right now. So that's something that you could sign up for an account so that you could have access to this if your school is not currently a MyBigCampus school. We are also talking about ways to make that available for people without MyBigCampus accounts. If it's published, you can get to it without logging into MyBigCampus and still take advantage of those bundles. So from within MyBigCampus, if you go to the library and you do a search, and I'm just going to search multiplication since that's what we were just discussing and taking a look at. If I do a search in the library, now I do want to point out that I use the library search box. If you do a search up here, you are searching all of MyBigCampus, not specifically the library. So you'll want to search within the MyBigCampus library. So I get the results, and you can see I've got websites and bundles and all kinds of different, here's a video, different types of content that are showing up. But as I scroll down the page, you can very quickly see these orange seals that are showing up that are letting you know that these are certified bundles that meet the criteria that we've been sharing with you on this webinar. Over here on the side, you can do several different types of filtering, like you could say that you only wanted to see bundles as opposed to websites and videos and maybe documents that may be returned in those search results. But what I really wanted to draw your attention to is down here at the bottom, NBC certified only. You can check that and then filter your search, and that's going to show you all of the results that match your search that are in the form of a certified bundle that has met that criteria. So that's how you can start looking for content. Now, last time we did this webinar, I mentioned that we, as a consortium, with all 6 schools working together, we have produced somewhere between 300 and 350 certified bundles. And somebody asked the question, well, how come I can't find that many in the MyBigCampus library? So I did a little checking on that to try and find out, and what I discovered is that not all of the schools that are producing digital content have published their bundles yet. So if I go back to this one, you can see that it's been published. Actually, I'm not seeing that. Usually there's sharing features here. But it does have to be published in order to for you to be able to find content outside of your own district in the MyBigCampus library. So some of them are just still in a process where they've been certified, but they just haven't been published yet. So it's just a work in progress that we are continuing to build these bundles, certify them, publish them. Obviously, all those things do take a lot of time, and we are continuing to work towards that. But eventually, all of the content will be available and searchable within the MyBigCampus library, and then we're also discussing just some other ways that we can make sure we get that content out there to you so that teachers in other districts can find it and take advantage of it. I also wanted to point out, and then I'll shut up and let us have some time for questions, all of the bundles that do have the certified seal on them, if you go to the bundle, you'll see this little explanation that says, an administrator has verified that this bundle meets the NBC certified standards for lesson delivery. And if you click on Learn More, you're going to see an explanation of what grants the bundle that quality seal. And this will look familiar because it's everything we've been talking about. Here's that checklist that Wayne Township produced and Dana talked to you about earlier. So it's just letting you know what criteria has been used to gauge this bundle as a high quality bundle. It also talks to you a little bit about how to go about getting someone in your district certified to be able to place those seals on bundles as well. So if you're interested in that, and like Molly was talking about earlier, we are producing roadmaps to help you know what our process was as individual districts for going about creating this content, certifying it, and getting it out there for teachers to take advantage of. So I just wanted to show you how to find all those things. One last thing, just quickly, in case anybody is wanting to, you know, go crazy making their own high-quality bundles. If you search, the MyBigCampus library for high-quality bundle template, you could probably leave that word off, but If you search for that, you will find the template that I showed earlier and be able to use the branch button to make a copy of that for yourself that you can edit and turn into your own high-quality bundle. So I think we are ready for questions unless any of the presenters want to jump in and think or share anything that they've thought of along the way.
Good job, Rachel. We're good.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay.
Like Mary said, this will be archived as well for listening pleasure next week. If you were excited about some things that you saw today and you want to re-listen or encourage one of your colleagues to listen as well, or maybe an admin, that would be great. Right now, My Big Campus has been working really closely with our consortium, and we're really pleased with them and appreciative of their relationship, partnership with us. And so I think it stands that not a whole lot of districts at this point have the ability to seal these quality bundles or give the stamp out, I guess. But like Rachel had mentioned, it is a feature that an administrator at your district can request. So if you feel like your district's doing a really great job and creating digital content and you guys want to start getting that recognition as well, you can definitely request that from My Big Campus and look into getting the ability to certify, is what they call it. And typically they give that button to 1 or 2 people at the district level so they can actually look through the digital content that's being created in their district and hand out that certification. No questions from the group? If not, Mary, do you have anything to add? Do you want us to elaborate on anything?
I just saw a question pop up. It came to me. It's if you branch a bundle and change things, is it still sealed or does it have to be all original items to be sealed?
Right now, if you branch it, it loses that seal, but it also gives credit to the person below, whoever has, Rachel, do you have control?
Yes, I do.
I wondered if we could find one. So if you notice, it'll say branched from, and it'll have that certification. I know My Big Campus at first was a little leery on how this would work with branching if that seal follows it, because then somebody could alter it, and then it really wouldn't have all those components of the checklist. And so I think they're still kind of working that out and figuring out the best way to go about that. So you will see that it was branched from somebody, but I guess I'm not seeing it there, Rachel.
It should say branched from lesson plan template by Rachel Loomis, so she's branched one of her own. Yeah. But if you were branching someone else's, it would have their name here, yes. So it is still giving credit to credit who's due. Exactly,
exactly. So no guilt about beg, stealing, and borrowing somebody else's work, because we're all doing it, thankfully. And that's the beauty of this, and the beauty of working inside of My Big Campus and using these bundles, is that I can take, you know, Rachel's bundle or Shane's bundle and then add to it or delete and, you know, and build from it. So I think that the more people that we can get doing that with us, you know, obviously the more digital content we're creating as a state and as My Big Campus users across the country.
And someone brought up the point, Janice Curtis brought up the point of copyright and worrying about that. Dana said that they have their writers reference the resources to cover those copyright issues. Do any of the rest of you have any thoughts on the copyright issue and materials?
Yeah, we are doing the same thing at Southwest Park. You know, we've made it very clear that there are some things that are just completely off limits, such as scanning a page from a textbook and putting it into your bundle. For more than one reason. Not only is that a breach of copyright, but it also does not accomplish what we're trying to accomplish by creating this digital content to begin with. So we have those kind of rules in place, and then basically as just a general guideline, we have said that if you can find it freely available online, then you can put it in your bundle. We just want to make sure we are giving credit where it's due. So we do the same thing. Maybe I could bring up one of them that has a great example here real quickly, but it'll have just maybe underneath a little bit of content, just a link to where that content originated from, so that teachers can go there and maybe get more content, or at least see the original source of that content, so that we're giving that credit. So far we haven't seemed to run into any sort of serious concern about being in copyright infringement, but I am a pretty big stickler about that. Let me see if I can find one.
And Rachel, while you're driving, there was a question from a new My Big Campus user about branching. She said, if you branch a bundle, where do you find it then on My Big Campus?
I get that question. Yes, I get that question quite a lot. And the answer is in your Drive. You would, let me just switch back over here real quick. You would go to Drive, and then within there you have all these folders. You probably don't have as many as me, but you would click on the bundles folder, and then you'll see in that folder any bundles that you have branched. So that's a really good question. When you first branch it, it'll bring up your copy on the screen, but once you log off My Big Campus, come back to it another day, the way you would find it is to go into Drive. I'm trying to think of who might have an example. This one might.
A lot of times, too, I feel like you give credit where credit's due, when you're building your bundles itself, because a lot of times, like I know in mine, I will just link out, obviously, to different resources, and so obviously if you're sending them to that website, you're giving them credit. And so unless it's like a picture or something like that where you're not actually sending them and listing the URL, I think I liked how Shane did it and just put like references at the bottom, and then just listed the various sites that he got information from. Or, like Rachel said, put it right below, like this lady has a document and then worksheets are from, and then she, gave that site. And that's a good point. If you want other people to be able to go back to that resource and find other, resources that they may want to use, that's a good way to do that. Any other questions?
I saw Minecraft.
Mary, do you have anything else?
Are
you get questions?
I have no other questions. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I think we've filled them with information. We've overwhelmed them, whichever the case may be. So just really quick in closing, I talked about a couple of things in the chat box, but just to bring them up again, we always award PGP points to people who attend the webinars, so those will be sent out in the next few days. If you happen to have a group with you, so if only one person was signed in, but you have a few people with you, I will put my email address in here again, and you can email me with the names and email addresses of the others who were on the call with you, so that they can also get the PGP documentation. I know that that's important. People are collecting that as they're working on their license renewal, so we want to make sure that everybody gets their one singular point, but those ones all add up. Also, fingers crossed, I have recorded this webinar. There's always, the question of technology pulling through. So that webinar should be posted by the beginning of next week. We also have the recording of this webinar from February already posted on the website, and I shared that website earlier. You can get to it from our homepage also, which there's a professional development link there. And actually, I'm going to go to my closing screen, and that will have website information so that you can have the links and such. And hopefully everybody sees that information now. So thank you very much to Molly and Dana and Shane and Rachel for sharing with us today. Thanks to Molly for spearheading this group, and to the others for building this content. It's great to have these resources as people are entering the digital world. It's overwhelming to try to find resources. It's really overwhelming to try to find quality resources. So it's great to have this group in the state who is building resources for teachers in the state based on our standards. So that is wonderful, and thank you to those people who shared with us today, and thank you all for joining us. I will leave this page on for the screen on for a little bit if anyone wants to get the links that are there, and join if you are interested in Twitter chats. Please join in our Twitter chat on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. eLearn is the hashtag. So thank you all very much, and have a wonderful Monday evening. Thanks.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mary.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.